We're back.
Oh,
Yep, we're back. So is he. It's been a while, hasn't it, since one of these? I don't know how many
yeah.
episodes upcoming are gonna have them, but this one, will be. This is the prediction for Death Battle's upcoming episode, Bardock versus Omni-Man. Which I scrapped the recording I did, but when they first released their video, we're back, whole thing, I automatically, first thing I predicted was Bardock Omni-Man. And I was right. Look at me. Predicting things again, because it just felt too perfect.
You know, I was thinking it was gonna be something like that, or well, I guess in the end we did get Bowser Eggman, so I suppose that did come.
Yes, it was literally the same video.
Uh,
That video might be the closest
it
we get to Domon Kashu on Death Battle.
be perfect to be honest, but you know what? In 90% of circumstances, I would be concerned if they were bringing Omni-Man back to Charlotte. But with where we are, it's you know what? I'll allow it. I think.
Considering they talked about pretty much none of his story in the comics, as long as you ignore the fact that they literally show his death, I don't think it's too problematic. If anything, it's more so a sin on Homelander Omni-Man's case that it did not actually address anything about Omni-Man.
I sort of got why, in the sense of because these are, they're made for general audiences, and what was there is that could fill up an analysis time, but they could go into more detail this time around. At the bare minimum, since we're in season 2, they've tackled his apology video arc. It's
Yeah, we came out with a little ukulele.
I feel like Nolan at that point in the series would actually think that is how apologies work on Earth.
I can imagine it. He's
Mark,
not.
Mark, you need to understand. What I did was unacceptable.
Let me play you a little
Irrefutable.
tune, Mark. Drum.
I learned this from Tech Knight. And it just sounds like an MK1 track.
So yes, we are here today to talk about who wins, and this is definitely a matchup where everyone has a unanimous opinion, and everyone agrees on the scaling for both characters. There is no character by the name of Omnipotus. There is no character by the name of Ginyu. There is no special by the name of episode of Bardock. It's a very clear-cut debate that everyone agrees on.
In most places, that would be true. Not in this place.
No, not here. Not here. If you're talking to some random Joe, who wins, Bardock, Omni-Man? You know what they'll tell you? Who the fuck's Bardock? But if you ask someone who knows who Bardock is, who wins between Bardock and Omni-Man, you know what they'll tell you? I don't know. But then, okay, you ask someone who's seen all their stuff, and you know what they're going to tell you? They'll probably say Bardock, because Dragon Ball's got that reputation. Omni-Man's got a reputation too, but people are always given this reputation of oh, Dragon Ball's sweeps Superman, and Omni-Man is just Superman. So if everyone in Dragon Ball beats Superman, then Bardock beats Superman, so he beats Omni-Man. People are fucking weird.
I guess admittedly it is probably telling that there is nothing clear cut, and it's okay, we're having doing one of the strongest people relatively in Invincible. Bardock is not one of the strongest characters in Dragon Ball.
No.
Even with his
people have had close debates on fucking Bardock versus Minato.
Oh, how?
Which
I can't.
It's hilarious. I think it's because people don't buy higher Bardock speed, and they put both at planetary. So in which case I would not call that close at all. I would say if they had the same stats, then Bardock is absolutely cooked, because he has no powers whatsoever that really matter. So I don't see how you ever make it close, because it's either going to be Bardock just kind of walks up and smacks his ass, or Bardock just kind of keels over.
Yeah, I feel like that is just the normal timeline. But I feel like by everything I've seen, I'm no Naruto expert, but I feel like the last time I heard people, it just felt like okay, but if Minato goes really fast, he can pull off some kind of ceiling. But I've always just kind of met well, Bardock's a Saiyan, but if he just at any point does any kind of giant ki blast, I feel like that would kill Minato.
Yeah, that is true. And to be fair, and this is going to be kind of relevant, the way Bardock fights, to my memory, he is very punch happy. He is very turn my ki into a big glowing aura around my fist and punch you with it sort of deal.
Oh, for sure. Bardock is that guy. That's how he plays him everything ever. He's very very aggressive.
If you took Bardock and Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh! Equalized stats, they would fight the exact same way against each other.
That is hilarious.
We've seen it. We've seen how Joey fights when he has abilities. We saw him in the Lord of Red Armor Bling Blong Blag fight with Valon. He just fights like Bardock. Run up, punch, don't think.
I guess we will take solace in the fact this is going to be one of like, I guess 2, maybe 3 Dragon Ball fights where there will be no mention or no hint of the shockwaves or any kind of like super era stuff. And I guess that's sort of refreshing in the sense that it also means it is one of the closest Dragon Ball fights you'll get currently.
And you're saying this as if there's a non-zero, as if there's like a completely zero chance of us getting an episode that doesn't. Let me rephrase. You're saying this as if there's no chance that they're gonna have in the conclusion. There's this feat from Super and this feat from Omnipotus, but scaling to either is questionable. Because they could do that. You know, they could do that. They could do that. Genuinely.
I could see just some later Omnipotus, and then like it's that between like, well, we can like this is how we can use other material where he beats Final Form Freezer or something like that.
he while there is scaling to Spawn, you know, so like if we're gonna just scale to like other characters, there's this thing he does in Xenoverse 2, right, where he fights the main villain, and he does this thing where he wins. He literally does an Azura. He does an Azura. He starts off getting absolutely pummeled, and then just wins anyway. Just gets really angry and wins by hitting the other guy really, really hard.
I hear doing an Asura, I just imagine the image of Bardock growing multiple arms or something.
Actually, I mean, that is a technique.
It's like the image, it just regenerates like a lizard. I know they mentioned like they in like GVS, you're like, oh yeah, sensu beans can regrow arms, which I'm pretty sure that's just because X3 or whatever that robot had regenerative abilities, and he just got energy back. But the image of just if Tien lost an arm, he could have just popped the sensu bean and just.
What do you mean if he did?
If he did, yeah. When he lost his arm, all he had to do was pop a sensu bean and just regrow it back.
I don't remember where it was, but I remember someone saying that Tien can regrow limbs because of multiform technique. And I got the image in my head of him doing that against Nappa. And he's got like 3 limbs on one side, and then the other side is just 3 stumps. And like, that's so funny to imagine.
It would feel like that TFS gag where Frieza's just ripping off each of Nail's arms.
Yeah, it's just that, but it's Tien, and it's like, this did not help the situation at all. And he just keels over.
Nappa will probably be a weirdly helpful character here. Because Bardock is stronger than him, and that's so in base.
Yes, that is notable, so we can talk about scaling now. And there's not going to be anything on screen for scans this time, because this is kind of happening a bit late because we forgot. And also, like, come on, like, a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about, you know what it is. If you know anything about this debate, you know the feats, you know what's happening here. You know when I say, here's this thing where King Piccolo can destroy like 3 countries. Okay, no, that's a bad example. No one watched Dragon Ball. Here's Roshi blowing up the moon.
Yeah,
No one watched
I
Dragon
guess
Ball,
that's
but they did watch that one scene. Shut up.
yeah. I guess in regards to Bardock, I guess the most obvious baseline to just kick off of is just because in base he is supposed to be like he has a power of like 10,000 or something, and that's supposed to be like that's almost King Vegeta level, and that obviously just gets him above the usual normal stuff, I guess, for lack of a better words. Like everyone's like the Moon Bust Piccolo does, the Moon Bust Roshi does, and like all those smaller stuff. He's explicitly stronger than Nappa, which is kind of funny. I think they say that even in DBC Kakarot that like,
Right, we
oh
should
yeah,
we
he
should
is.
specify the canon. Based on everything we know, including like the way the actual like preview addressed it, chances are they're gonna focus on canon Bardock, but they are going to include like Toei stuff, like the original Father of Goku special. They're going to include episode of Bardock most likely. They're probably going to include Minus, I think it was, but they're probably not going to go into Heroes and Xenoverse because that'd be a bit silly.
Yeah.
They're going to stick to stuff that's relatively close to canon. I could see them using like statements made in Kakarot just because Toriyama was so heavily involved in the game.
For sure.
So yeah,
it's like if they do use super stuff, which they're probably gonna to a light extent, that does give us something in regards. Like I think he's explicitly supposed to be like Captain Ginyu level,
right. We'll get there when we get there.
which is insane. But yes, Bardock like just on a base level is beating everything in normal Dragon Ball, and that's before like any Zenkai boosts or any like grades. Bear in mind, like his power level is very much close to like King Vegeta's level.
And so
Which,
he should downscale from the feat where King Vegeta like obliterates 3 planets with like a flick of his hand. That is notable.
I have to address this now because I've been seeing people. There's like a like talk about how it's like either like Vegeta exaggerating his flashback or something, and it's like it's so weird because it's like the arguments against it. It's been like, well, okay, we see a giant Frieza like after the image. So the idea is supposed to be, well, Bardock is very much like, not Bardock, fucking Vegeta is like exaggerating what happens in the flashback. And it's like, I think you could maybe argue that, yeah, maybe Vegeta, it's like King Vegeta did not just explicitly just nuke all 3 planets at once and it's meant to be over time. I would understand that since, you know, Saiyans can't breathe in space, but Toei also kind of forgets that themselves multiple times.
Yeah,
Bardock.
Bardock is very heavily breathing in at the end of that special. He is also very much in space while he's panting.
And it's like there's that, and even then, like, I would not say that Vegeta is sitting here recalling his memories in such an incorrect manner that he for some reason is gonna like I don't know why we're comparing like, oh, Frieza is symbolically like being giant over a planet is supposed to have the same like energy as King Vegeta doing something that he regularly does because that's just what Saiyans did.
Wow, King Vegeta, what did you do? I destroyed a planet. No. Hold on. I destroyed 3 planets. Yes. At once, one blast. I went pooh, and they were all gone. Yup. I did that. Trust me.
I like just the implication that I think this argument at least is funny because it implies that Vegeta is that fucking delusional.
Or just
which, to
really
be honest,
insecure.
in some cases, which, in some cases, maybe, depending on where he is. But I don't think he was sitting there like, just like, you know what? I remember when my trauma is gonna like dilute my flashback for a bit here.
Imagine some guy coming in like, oh, King Vegeta, guess what? I just blew up like 2 planets with like 1 ki blast. Wasn't that cool? Oh yeah, well, I destroyed 3, so you're not special. Get back in your fucking room, cauliflower.
Paragus. It's just Paragus.
It's Paragus.
Paragus is
It's Toei Paragus too. Like, it would be
It's just like
type arrogance.
it's just like, bro, it's Broly. I bet you he could destroy the Machio Star. And you're
Oh,
just,
well, I could destroy 3 with one blast, so your boy ain't special, bitch. Dickhead. Oh, I'm Paragus, sure, I gave birth to this Broly.
now, I guess there's also just the fact, also in Toei, there's that feat of Vegeta finger pointing a planet away.
Yep.
That also exists.
But, you know.
Also in space.
Yeah, also in space. You could argue that one Bardock wouldn't scale to because, you know, at this point Vegeta would have a higher power level. But I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters because there's other like planet level feats.
He has that little special power he gets from. We'll get to the time traveling, but
oh, right, yeah, that's a good point. We'll get to that. Using just not just episode of Bardock, using just Bardock, Father of Goku, planetary, maybe higher. Yeah, that's the baseline like, for Bardock. He could destroy a planet.
Like, and then you like slap 10 times that because of the Great Ape, which I'm glad we get to see.
Yeah, that was a very hype moment in the trailer seeing, because like if it was Super Saiyan, it would be like, yeah, that's cool, but like seen it.
We all know that.
But no, we've not seen Ozaru before.
It's gonna be great to see that. It also just feels like it'll make Super Saiyan actually have impact whenever it happens. Like
also, how did he pronounce Ozaru in the preview?
I actually don't. I don't remember how he pronounced. Was it Ozaru? Did he say that or did he?
I swear he said Uzaru, but like I watched it very early in the morning, so I might have just misremembering.
It's been a bit. I mostly just remember the fact that them bringing up the whole Yajirobe being like a kind of cannibal and Namekian.
Well, I mean, he's not really a cannibal because he's not a Namekian himself, but yes.
Yeah.
Like Ozaru, I can accept. Ozaru, obvious, like I believe is the most accurate to how it should be pronounced. Great Ape, I will tolerate because it's funny. And Big Monkey, I will openly accept because it's more accurate than Great Ape, and it's really funny.
The monkey, his monkey state amplifies his power by like 10 times, which is like, you know, that's very helpful naturally because, you know, more power is just generally useful. I know it's crazy, but
yeah, I guess to address it, because some people are going to be wondering, how can Bardock be planet level if he got killed by a planet level like explosion? The reason that feats like Roshi and Piccolo blowing up the moon get planet level and not moon level is because moon level is the energy required, like the minimum required to overpower the like gravitational binding energy of the moon. That's the energy gravity produces to keep it being the moon. There is a difference between reaching the minimum level required and enough power to send chunks of the moon flying at sublight speeds, right? To just have it completely reduced to dust. There is a very big difference between enough power to make the moon start to break apart and enough to completely make it nothing. And the same goes for planets. Frieza's Death Ball, or his supernova, technically I believe is what he actually used in that scene, being like dwarf star level. Why? Because he didn't just make Vegeta slowly split apart. Well, he did, but like the guy Vegeta, not the planet. He didn't make planet Vegeta slowly split apart. He made it go boosh, gone, pop like balloon. Very different things. So that's why Bardock can be planet level and die to a planet bust.
This is the secret trick to why every moon level feat you have ever seen never really hits moon level ever.
Except for some reason, coincidentally, because I like this matchup, the moon bust by Psyche and the moon bust by Medaka both are actually moon level. We know this because we see the image of Psyche busting through the moon as he visualizes it, and we see the big gaping nothing left of the moon in an official Medaka box image. Both are moon level. Funny thing. I don't remember what Koro Sensei's explosion gets. I don't remember if
I
it's
think
like planetary moon. Doesn't matter because he can blow up the planet anyway. But like when he
I think
when he dies, there's a one
when
percent
he
chance.
the 1% chance he can.
There is a 1% chance if Koro Sensei dies by natural causes that he will become planet level.
That's a great way to end that Kurokuma fight if that happens.
That's gonna be a great prediction because I'm gonna be like, yeah, I know the feats. I know the feats. You know, I know Koro Sensei is a big tornado. He nuke probably wouldn't get the ultimate absolute defense. Dodge the laser beam. The moon thing. I was a rat. A rat did that. The planet thing. That's a 1% chance if like Monokuma just like finds out he's got like antimatter cancer and goes, you know what? You can just die on your own, and then just leaves. There's a 1 in 100%, 1 in 100 chance then that he'll die along with Koro Sensei.
Oh my god. So to round like Bardock in here, like his general stuff is just like planetary and like speed wise, it's like relativistic because everyone's shooting stuff to the moon. Like that's like the simple stuff, I guess. Which relatively for given the last few Dragon Ball fights, it's actually really good for someone like him.
Right, yeah. Beams reaching the moon. Raditz is weaker than Bardock and slower as well. Could react to like Piccolo and Goku's attacks, including Goku's Kamehameha, which should be comparable in speed to Roshi's directly. Raditz is able to like just evade it, and then fire his own blast back after long enough. So, yeah, that scaling should be pretty solid.
Something. It is funny, like in the episode they mentioned, oh yeah, Bardock can like move at faster than light, and they specifically like, the image they picked for that is so hilariously like it's just him dodging the most basic ki blast.
Yeah, I noticed that. I also noticed when they say like, there is one story that's officially canon, and they show the non-canon one.
I think they said that's gonna.
Yeah, I noticed that, and like it's been in my head, and like. Not long ago, I saw on Twitter, DJ said, yeah, we're going to fix that. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I don't need to bring it up then. I'll bring it out here, but yeah.
I guess when it comes to, I guess that's like a semi-segue into like just the big stuff, I guess, because there's a 9 out of 10 chance, we're going to see Toei, like specifically episode of Bardock.
Yes, episode
it's not a good special at all, but
in this special, Frieza's supernova does a time heart and sends Bardock back to the age of the primitive Saiyans of Vegeta, which itself in Toei canon doesn't make any sense to me because like that's not the history of Vegeta in Toei canon. Thanks GT, but and then he fights Lord Chills. He fights Frieza's grandmother, and then he goes Super Saiyan, and as a Super Saiyajin, he just kicks the shit out of him, and then the story's over, and you just have to deal with it. I'm episode of Bardock, you gotta deal with it.
I think the funny thing is just the fact that if you, by some layer of technicality, that would mean this is the only time Bardock survives the supernova in some weird roundabout way.
Oh, hold on. You're forgetting about that one dramatic finish in Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Oi! Or he gets strong enough to just kill Final Form Frieza.
Yeah, because that's very important. He scales to Final Form Frieza, because that's how he's going to beat Omni-Man. Take that, Omnipotus. I'm saying that name a lot. That's like probably the one thing that is probably the least known part of their scaling between the two of them is the Omnipotus thing, because nobody read the comics. But
I feel like more people who are in this hobby have probably heard Omnipotus before Rexplode.
That's true. But Rexplode's not part of it. Actually, hold on. There is one thing I can think of that would be less talked about in this conversation than Omnipotus, and that would be the Dead Zone. We'll get there.
I think it's so funny because if you have never read or looked at like Invincible and you kept hearing Omnipotus, you would think he's this huge event villain, like some absolutely like big deal in the series.
Yeah, I've never read the comics, and I don't know anything about Omnipotus, but everything I hear about him is just people talking about it. No, he's not actually as impressive as you think.
Omnipotence is like he's only brought up because in this stuff because of higher end stuff, and he's not really that prevalent in the comics at all.
Mm. Wow. So he's like Bardock.
In a way, but it's like a lot. I mean, at least Super these days has put more emphasis on Bardock.
For worse or worse.
Yeah, and I guess that should be like a small bonus note because again, Bardock and Super base Bardock is way stronger than Toei Bardock by a noticeable amount.
Yeah, if they use that, I think this is going to be a bit of a wash of a matchup. Which, you know, everyone in the comments is already saying it is a wash, just on different sides of the wash side.
It's like that's the one where he's explicitly Ginyu tier, which is because he fought gas.
Right. Okay, so before we get to that, let's finish on episode of Bardock. Super Saiyan 50 times multiplier. Yeah, whatever you put base Bardock at that point by the end of that. 50 times that, which would scale to the planet Alia explosion that Vegeta caused. Obviously would upscale over King Vegeta's triple planet explosion, unless of course you think he was a delusional braggart. You know, it way beyond Pickles and Roshi. So, you know, all that very important. There you go. That's Toei Bardock. Pin in that. 50 times whatever you put him at, and whatever you put him at is probably at least planetary.
Yeah. It's like if you go like their power levels, that would be like not too far off from like first form Frieza. I think it would be like, without taking into account like the super stuff, it'd be like somewhere like 500,000 versus 530,000.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, first form Frieza's like Death Ball Supernova thing was very much a casual maneuver. He was not, you know, busting his ass to blow up Planet Vegeta, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's iconic for the fact that he literally used a finger and barely tried. And yeah, in terms of speed, oh boy. Let's go back to the power thing. Let's talk about the Ginyu thing.
So, right. Because in, like, Dragon Ball Super, they basically bring up Ginyu and stuff because Bardock fights Gas. And, like, I think the statement is something along the lines like Gas was stronger than any of Frieza's, like, men or forces or something along those lines.
Oh my god, he's stronger than
like,
Broly.
You know what? If Bardock came back Heihachi style, he would.
He would throw hands with Broly, and he would like do pretty decent. Unironically, I believe.
Yeah. As like if you factor in even stuff like with just Super Saiyan alone, that would still be above like, you know, Ginyu in that point in the Namek Saga, because I think Ginyu there is like 120,000, and like the multiplier would put Bardock way above that, obviously.
Yeah.
And Namek Saga Goku was like relatively, he had to actually do stuff like Kaioken and stuff to actually still keep in with Ginyu, if I remember correctly. And, you know, there's one feat in particular, which is, I guess, the big one that will... I have no idea this will be what they use in the episode, but... The big one is, when Goku was traveling on a spaceship, going to Namek, he was reacting to some asteroids. And depending on how far you put Namek, in terms of, like, how far it is, that ranges from, like, on a lower end, that's, like, 200 times the speed of light. And if you go higher, because of, like, some models that show Namek is way, way, way far apart from Earth, in terms of, like, because of that stupid globe, that would be, like, trillion times the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that is very much, like, there's a lot of contention about that, to say the least, because
it's a bit of a silly feat on its own. But I guess at some point the question has to be less, is the feat valid, and more, how much does Bardock scale? And it's weird, because Namek Goku is also just more powerful than Ginyu.
Yeah,
Because
it's one of those
Ginyu's like,
things where it's like,
holy shit, I'm gonna take that power for myself! And then just doesn't.
yeah, he just fumbles the bag there.
Yeah.
But
Oops.
I guess it's like because of like Super Saiyan would probably be at least because like his power level increases so much that he's like almost approaching first form Frieza. That would probably be like feasibly faster than like Namek Saga Goku at that point. Admittedly, it would be a super hilarious feat to try to present if that was what they used to make Bardock faster, because it's the difference of Omni-Man just flew, no ifs, ands, about across like galaxies and stuff. But that's not as fast as Goku punching some rocks away on a ship.
Goku punched some rocks on a ship that maybe were far away enough that potentially they're faster than Omni-Man.
That would be such a hilarious thing to. But in some ways, that does fit the spirit of Death Battle in some cosmic sort of way.
Yeah. I can't see them buying that for in general. Like, it just feels off. I need to look at all the details like properly. Um
I think it's like it hinges a lot on like just naturally how far away do you think Namek actually is, for one, and it's like obviously like Bardock is like I think people will be okay enough saying Super Saiyan wise he's stronger than Goku at that point,
yeah.
but it's still the feat itself is so weird to present no matter because it's literally just he's trillions of times the speed of light from smacking rocks away.
Yeah, Bardock is trillion times the speed of light because Goku did something in a part of the story that had nothing to do with Bardock at all. And there's the weird thing of like Super Saiyan. You could argue that like Super Base Bard or Super Bardock in general, because he doesn't really have anything beyond base aside from Big Monkey, is about on par with Super Saiyan Toei Bardock. At which point, are you just gonna like make up your own version of Bardock by putting Super Saiyan on top of Super Bardock? Because that'd be a bit weird. Like that is where the soft composite becomes a bit weird.
Yeah, especially because like Super Bardock, which is gonna be clearly factored in some way, in a base level is way more cracked, and I'm surprised he didn't just one day get bored and just fucking murder King Vegeta. If he
Yeah, like that's so weird. Or are we supposed to believe that King Vegeta is also like somehow that strong? At least that wouldn't contradict anything, I guess. But like
it's like Bardock in there is treated as like this absolute menace in terms of power. Again, he's like basically Ginyu level.
it's so weird because he's just a Joe. He's just a guy. He's just a Saiyan.
Evidently not. He was him.
Yeah, it's so weird. What are they doing with the man? You literally you look at Bardock, and what it's supposed to be is like, hey, what's special about Bardock? Nothing. Now it's what's special about Bardock. Oh, he's the strongest like member of our species. Yeah, it's gonna take probably a good good like decade to get to that level. Whew. This Bardock guy, he's something else. Let me tell you. Whew.
I think like the comparison it's that I kind of remember vaguely seeing is like Super Bardock. Super Bardock is like just doing. It's like him. He's doing his job. It's like he's doing. He's just a dude doing a job, whereas like the average Bardock is just he's a Saiyan doing a job. It's weird to say, but it's like.
Did you know that
it's just
Bardock was going to take over the planet Vegeta, but he went to go fight King Vegeta, and like what King Vegeta said, it really freaked Bardock out. You know what he said? King Vegeta, he said, "Yeah, well, I destroyed 3 planets with 1 ki blast."
Now I remember the comparison. It was like OG Bardock is a Saiyan who happens to be Goku's dad, whereas Super Bardock is like he is Goku's dad who just happens to be a Saiyan.
Yeah, yeah, no, that fits really well. That pretty much feels like how they've changed their views on how Bardock is as a character. I don't like it. I know. Hot take.
It's so like weird. It just becomes weirder just because it's like Goku. It's like, oh man, Goku, like this ass whooping from years ago. That reminds me of your father. And they have to relearn Saiyan Pride or something in the arc. It's so weird.
And
I don't think Vegeta needs to relearn Saiyan Pride
no.
in particular.
So with all that said, Bardock, we're looking at way above planetary. Fast, maybe MFTL. Omni-Man, and we can ignore like hacks and abilities because he ain't got no hacks, and his ability is pew pew. Omni-Man it's somehow even. For one thing, Omni-Man's even more blunt in terms of like powers.
Yeah.
The smart Adam
His,
things
like,
is weird, but like that doesn't really factor.
I think like their ability wise, it would just come down to like there was like special adaptation stuff, which would be that would hinge a lot more depending on how stats were the if they were to end up.
If
But
Omni-Man
on
beats Bardock halfway to death and then lets him live, then Bardock can get a huge power boost and win. If Omni-Man does that, he's an idiot.
hey, now since Super is being factored in, Zenkai boosts are just weirdly faster than normal.
Right, yeah. They forgot what Zenkai boosts are.
Yeah, especially just in recent times, they've been like made way stronger than normal. So it's like Bardock has to still get beaten up, but like we saw in the gas fight, he wasn't necessarily have to beaten to death before he got that insane boost.
Every time like I bring something up and it's like, this is how it is, because I read the original manga, it's just like, actually, in Super, that's not how it is anymore. It's changed. Get with the times, old man.
It's the fundamentals. If Bardock gets beaten half to death, he'll like as long as he doesn't, lose anything vital, he'll bounce back. But as Omni-Man, he'll get like it'll take him a bit to get that boost. It won't, but he will. It's easier to survive if you like punch a hole through his chest. He'll probably walk it off because Viltrumites can just do that.
Yeah. So yeah, Omni-Man stats. He punched a planet one time. It died.
Yeah, that thing. And this, I know this has also been like a big talking point because of Viltrum's size.
Yes.
Because Viltrum has like weird. It also has its own weird kind of gravity stuff. Because there's like those tiny moons in the background when you see like the punch, and that like you could use some people measure like the diameter or like the just how big the planet is relative to those moons, and like some people, I think the highest I've seen for how high Viltrum gets in size is like Saturn, which is that's definitely pretty big, and that puts Omni-Man's little planet bust like pretty high, but I guess spoiler alert that the King Vegeta feat still exists.
Yeah. There is something to be said. I think there was like contention over whether the feat even counts. It was like a 3-person feat. It was like I heard something about like this. They just like cracked the core of something or whatever, and that caused the explosion or something. Ignoring the fact that they were in the middle of it. Some shit like that. I don't know all the details.
It's some like the context of like the planet. It's like I guess from what I remember in the book, it's like Omni-Man in the game, like they have to like do it in this specific manner or they'll fuck it up. Which the manner still worked and it still caused as big of an explosion. But I guess the planet bust, relatively speaking, is treated as a much bigger deal. It's something like they have to really put their thinking goggles on. It's like treated as one of the biggest accomplishments in the series because I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it here as the big feat, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess is this the part where I have to bring up all the there's various other arguments for Omni-Man, to get higher than this.
Okay, yeah,
I don't
let's just do that. Let's.
I don't like any of them personally. Like
Uh so I've been
I guess
talking. I brought up Omnipotus a few times.
that fuck. Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's a little secret. Everything about Omnipotence that is talked about like so many times is all shoved into fucking guidebooks because he never just drains stars on screen. There's so many weird statements because it's like we Omnipotence's big thing is he kind of fluctuates in power. We don't really know how, like, for one, we don't even know how, like, his big statement of destroying solar systems even operated. We don't know what he did, how long it took, or because again, it's it's in a guidebook, and we also know his powers fluctuate because it varies depending on how much energy he absorbs. Because we know like he can be weakened over time, and he talks about it a few times that he's underpowered when he fights the heroes, and he tries to restore his energy and stuff. And it's like all of these statements like and they also mention stuff like it happens in a chain reaction and like we don't he it might take a long time for him to absorb these. There's so many things regarding omnipotence that just makes it hard to buy. Omnipotence can just in one go destroy like solar systems with no effort when like there's just only so much evidence when that evidence just boils down to a statement in the guidebook and just the weird nature of his powers. And we don't even know how if these powers just operate on like if he did it in one go or over time. It's just too much stuff to me that makes it feel like, ah yes, Omni-Man is a solar system buster. And I guess it's a not anecdotal, but like leading into debates about outliers and stuff, I guess. But I would have a hard time buying that Omnibus is meant to be like a fucking star solar system buster in a series that treated planet busting as a big deal, but especially for a side villain, mind you.
Hmm. So essentially, the big thing
That's
is nothing's shown. It's only ever said in a book. We don't know the context. We don't know how it happened, and he was also not even at full power when everyone would scale to him.
yeah, basically. That's kind of the gist. And then but that's one part because Omni-Man has more, of course. And then there's this fucking thing called the Sun Disk, and I hate it
Oh
because
yeah, I've heard that too.
it's like the Sun Disk whole thing in the comic was that it's supposed to block out sunlight to freeze the Ragnars or stuff, and so like they just wanted to create a giant little disk to start to cause the planet to freeze up. But obviously this doesn't require anything big enough to like block the entirety of the sun, just something big enough to cover the to cause an eclipse basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like every
Shame
it's like
that
I
shame
feel
that
like all the
eclipses aren't
artists
real. If eclipses were real,
right.
we'd be able to take a look at how big something needs to be to cause an eclipse, but that's not possible.
It's like realist. All it needed to do was block out the sun's heat, which would naturally mean like the sun this size would not need to be like the literal size of a fucking star to operate. So that one's like you can maybe argue higher stuff, but nothing that what I think can entail. They are literally covering this entire thing like with a star.
Yeah.
And the last one is crossover scaling, which
Lame.
some of it's not only lame. There's like some of the crossovers are like are canon. If they're gonna ever use it, it should be like the feat with the tick because the tick is cool. But
He did fight a Spawn, and like clearly this version of Spawn is as strong as the actual Spawn in the main comics, right? That's how it goes.
hey, to be fair, no one really knows how strong Comic Spawn is, anyways.
Right? Yeah, I was there for that debate. No one read Spawn.
For all you know, it could just be classic era Spawn, who was basically Batman tier.
Yeah, but like no one read Spawn's comics, so like can't confirm.
I don't blame them. They're not really easy to read.
I still remember the fucking like multi D Spawn thing, during like this big like Spawn Kratos debate. Like People found it. It's from a comic that has nothing to do with Spawn. It's not a Spawn comic at all.
Spawn just has like he has so like a lot of the issues that I guess have been sort of permeating in comics characters, where it's like he's a character with lots of history, a lot of eras and power shifts. He has like different metamorphoses, and then on top of that, it's like because he's a part of a greater multiverse and not necessarily just his own little section. You have to take into account maybe other series, and no one is, and because he isn't like super familiar like with Marvel and DC where they get episodes on the show every time, so everyone's kind of attuned to that, and there's like everyone's just kind of going off of respect threads for Spawn.
Yeah, Spawn is like, yeah, he's very Sailor Moon coded. If the Versus community knows what I mean.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
I can at least
very Sailor Galaxia energy.
I can at least say I trust Spawn things a little bit more because at least when you look at the scans, it's usually about what you expect. Like if someone says a guy blew up 3 solar systems, that is like what the scan says.
Oh, I trust
Sailor Moon.
I trust the Sailor Moon stuff now that some people have read it and gone, oh right, that feat don't exist. Uh-oh.
Sailor Moon is just in a state where because it's vague in a lot of areas, it's easy to extrapolate in many ways. It doesn't help people have been using old translations, like that Mirror Universe feat Death Battle itself used. Funny enough, that comes from like a 2000s early translation, maybe a little bit later than that, but it's a very old translation compared to like the modern ones, which do not call it a mirror universe. This is all a long-winded way of saying Spawn is not relevant here, and the only other one that you could probably think about is Supreme, who they did mention in his first episode as kind of a side point. But
yeah, I mean
coincidentally, Supreme has a special also ability to fluctuate his power whenever he fights someone.
Supreme, at least, like, I can understand why Supreme would be brought up. Like more than Spawn, at least, just because that is like where Omni-Man originates. Technically, is not even in Invincible. It's like 6. I think it's like 5-6 years prior to Invincible existing. Like he appears in, or a version of Omni-Man appears in a Supreme comic.
It at least makes sense. Like that's at least a comparison I can like use, but it's more so the logic, like the domino effect. Like, okay, so he should scale the Supreme like scaling to his sister who like held a universe in her hands or whatever. But Supreme has a whole very, very clear power fluctuation thing going on. So that, and it's like, I think it's specifically detailed as like he adjusts himself to whatever the power level is of his opponent or whatever. It is like apparently that specific.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. He's the Warrior of Life in Final Fantasy XIV. Insane. What, that should be a matchup. They're as strong as whoever's weaker between them at their peak.
Oh, Jesus.
And I guess, like, when it comes to weird scaling, is this where we bring up the Dead Zone? The Bardock?
Oh! The Dead Zone. So, like, the big thing with that...
And this would only apply to Toei Bardock, of course.
Yeah. So, like, Garlic Jr., way back, before, like, even the Saints are canonically, he has this thing called the Dead Zone, which he does seemingly make, and it's in certain, like, the guidebooks, they do call it a black hole and stuff.
And yeah, that's the feat. That's literally it. That's the argument for it. It's a book says that it's a black hole. A book say a black hole. Books say that he make it. Dwarf Star level Garlic Jr., Dwarf Star level pre Saiyan Saga Toei Goku. You're welcome, everyone.
Raditz, Raditz on his way to completely decimate the entirety of like. I'll pick a verse. One Piece. We'll go with that right quick.
Raditz, I mean, he does destroy One
He
Piece
does.
even normally. Raditz on his way to completely destroy pre-God Garo One Punch Man. And casually at that.
Saitama finally wishes for a worthy opponent. He gets
Raditz.
yeah.
Technically, like, that is how it would go. Like, Raditz would be, like, a worthy enough opponent. And then Saitama in the manga Saitama would just grow really strong and just kill him.
Yeah.
Fucking Dwarf Star level Raditz. Like, not even Dwarf Star level. Like 10 times higher than Dwarf Star level Raditz. Out here sweeping, like, 90% of Star Wars. Because he can. Though I guess to a casual audience, the fact that it's not 100% of Star Wars would be the more alarming factor there.
Yeah. It's, to be honest, I can't. Anytime they do Star Wars versus anime, it'll always be funny because it's like if they were to do Mace Windu against Byakuya, it's like it's gonna be like, okay, so Mace Windu can like they'll use that Ewok feat possibly again and have to just sell the idea that he's keeping up with, the series known for crazy flash steps.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Mace Windu, he did crush General Grievous's chest so hard that it took Grievous like 3 seconds to actually react to it.
I think it's like that entire like 2003 Clone Wars. It's so funny because it's like that is like the highest skill you'll ever see Jedi, and it's so far out there. It's even non-canon to Legends now. It's like they never gave notes on how the Jedi are meant to be portrayed, so it just leads to.
But
Despite
how fast they are, like, can anyone in Bleach match the speed of real-life surgeon Dr. Robert Liston? Fastest surgeon in the world. Can they match him? I don't think so.
You know what? I doubt it.
This surgeon has a 300% mortality rate. Yeah, that's right. He can do surgery on one person and kill 3 of them. What's Byakuya gonna do?
He'll probably live just like how he did when Ewok very clearly killed him.
Oh, he might live 100% death, but can he live 300% death manipulation? Didn't think so.
Possibly.
So yeah, Bardock scale of the dead zone. It's literally just like Bardock over Nappa over everyone over Cybermen equal Raditz over Goku over equivalent to Garlic Jr.
Yeah.
So he massively upscale, then he goes Super Saiyan on top of that.
Yeah.
That's the argument.
I get.
It exclusively relies on guidebooks, and you also have to ignore the fact that Frieza's Death Ball kind of killed him and is like the same level of power.
Well, it technically didn't kill him in episode.
Oh, that's true. No, it didn't kill. He technically did survive being at the epicenter of the Death Ball before it time traveled him. We do see him fully get enveloped in that thing, his armor blow away, and he just survives it. So arguably, you could actually argue he upscales over the Dwarf Starfleet because he was in the middle of the supernova while Planet Vegeta was not. So you could argue the based on surface area, the edge of the supernova caused that explosion. The center would be more powerful.
I like the image of just Frieza Bardock is still on the planet. He doesn't learn. Frieza blows it up, and Bardock's just in space.
What the hell? What's going on here? I don't like that one bit. I lived, and I don't know how.
You're going back in time.
No, wait. Oh.
Oh, and I guess the quick TLD on Omni-Man speed. kind of already in the episode.
Since we already
My,
know it. He flew,
yeah,
and then they didn't even just use that. They used a different feat that I've never heard anyone talk about that is even
it's new.
faster.
Yeah,
So,
like shit, tilling like billions of times light speed. I believe it was something
Invincible,
like that.
pretty blunt. Guy sees a place he wants to go to, light years away, just goes there.
Yeah,
So the debate, in many ways, it's not even just who has the highest stats, but what do you buy for their stats?
yeah, because it's just an. I guess it's a thing of. I said it earlier. This is the lower end of Dragon Ball versus on the higher end of Invincible. But that should
Yeah.
also illustrate exactly how that disparity can be noticeably high,
So,
depending on how far you're willing.
funnily enough, that's also the exact same as Minato versus Bardock. It's just Bardock's matchups is just like that's the same with Bardock versus Darth Vader, which I've seen by like 3 people, and I said why not? I said why not Darth Vader versus Omni-Man, and they went oh yeah, but you know. And what's funny is I don't even really care about that matchup, so I just turn people to a different matchup I also don't like. Oops.
It is like functionally like because Bardock is scaling. I think is I want to say it's simultaneously more simple and more complicated because he's going to be getting like different cannons and his base stuff in those cannons varies. But it's like no matter how far he goes, he's getting the King Vegeta feat as an absolute bare minimum.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna do the. I feel like the bare minimum would be the Moon Bus. The most likely would be the Vegeta thing. Possibly they'll do Ginyu. No way are they gonna do my stupid argument for why he scales to the supernova. And I don't think they're gonna use the Dead Zone. In general, I think
Yeah,
though, base Bardock probably on par, roughly close enough to say fine. Screw what the calcs say. Let's just say that base Bardock, Omni-Man, similar in power. At which point, Super Saiyan Bardock is 50 times stronger.
yeah. It's
Even
like
even Great Ape is 10 times stronger, and very
yeah,
very definitively as fast as regular Bardock. That is the thing with Great Apes.
yeah. Now it would be hilarious if they used the ship feed. I don't think they will, but
I don't think they will. I hope if they use it, I hope they find some random feat in like Invincible that's even faster because that'd be really funny.
I do remember apparently in the Adam Eve visual novel there is like a pretty crazy speed.
In the what?
Like I think it was an Adam Eve visual novel. I believe it was.
I'm gonna look this up. That's not real. You're making that up. I
I
know we
wish
said no scans because it's all well known. This one you have to be making this up. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's real.
yeah.
He's telling the real. By Skybound? Skybound did that. Skybound did that.
This this is you know what I will say. I've heard murmurings of there might be some kind of really crazy invincible like stuff that would be high enough to beat Bardock. I don't know what it is, and I because outside of the stuff presented here, I don't like any of the arguments. I haven't seen anything. So if the visual novel was the one thing that pushed Omni-Man above Bardock, I would laugh.
that would be that would be a moment. I'm not sure what kind of moment,
I,
but I'm gonna put a pin in that and say that it is some kind of moment.
it would it would have the energy of it'd be like if the Ewok feat actually won Vader the episode. Like if,
Yeah.
But I remember there was like apparently a really good speed feat from that visual novel, or at least it's a recontextualization of something in the comic, and it just expands it to be really, really fast. But I feel like regardless, like Omni-Man's probably going to be faster. The only reason I'm not confident is because they were very vague on Bardock's speed
Yeah,
in terms of like
faster
he's
than
just
light. Because he dodged a random key blast, which I guess technically, to an extent, dodging a key blast is no, it's not faster than light based on the Roshi and Piccolo thing at all. It's not that at all. Those are relativistic. So, um, uh, evidence, please.
I get it's like if they clarify, I imagine it's probably the Goku ship feat, but I would imagine even if they did it, I don't know they would go the high ends, but who knows? Frankly, I think Omni Man's likely going to be faster in the episode. I'm willing to just assume like it'll just be like he's really fast, but he if he punches Bardock at all at his best, he's gonna just crack his entire fist into nothing.
Yeah, there is a huge problem in that Invincible literally shows us what happens when a character rams headfirst into someone way stronger than them. They just die, and I don't mean the stronger character. Uh, and like saying that they're like equivalent in power in base, but Omni Man's faster. You could argue he just like he because he blitzes. Um, this is gonna be really funny. He beats Bardock down, and then Bardock gets a Zenkai boost before he even realizes what's happened. Imagine that. Imagine Bardock 1 second he thinks the fight's about to start. The next thing he realizes he's got like 7 Zenkai boosts because Super doesn't know what the fuck it's doing.
It's like that he's gonna get like hit a few times in the animation and Bardock and like he's gonna be like bloodied up and then it's like oh wow okay let's really fight seriously and then Omni Man just gets accidentally just punched into nothing.
Doesn't even need to go Super Saiyan. I am kind of hoping, right, with and this is not like a debate thing with Ozaru, and I think I said this before in a video. I would really like it if either Omni Man just flies up and punches the moon to death, or he like just pushes the moon onto Bardock and forces Bardock to destroy it himself. I just think that'd be cool.
I suspect not one of those two things. I like the image of like grade A Bardock throws Omni Man like with his strength, and then Omni Man sees the moon and just this like he punches through it. Not necessarily as a strategic move, but because he just doesn't have the time to move out the way of the moon, and and then just flies back down, and then like Bardock, as he's like powering down, trying to process what happened, he just gets pasted right into the ground, and then that's when Super Saiyan has to kick in because
he's gonna have a flashback about the day his son was born and be like, I love my son so much. I'm such a good dad. I wish that he has a prosperity in his future. And that other one too. Ah, I'm a Super Saiyan. Blah.
He's gonna see Goku in heaven and realize that the Saiyans have been dying in those last few death battles and he has to pick up the pace. It's, especially if the image of Frieza is he won his fight and he's the only.
Hold on.
All
There's one Kakarot who's in hot pink fur. There's one Kakarot with blue hair. And what are you? You look like Kakarot fused with the king. What are you doing here? What's with all these Kakarots?
He's like, oh shit.
Hold on.
We're losing.
3 Kakarots. Where's Raditz? What do you mean there's no Raditz? Huh?
I feel like some Bardock would just forget Raditz genuinely.
Yeah, Raditz isn't. Wait, who's Raditz? You don't remember your own brother Kakarot? He's he was he the one with the power level of 10,000 or was that the other guy? Hold on.
Oh fuck.
I don't remember that guy.
I think he got banished to hell. I go fuck.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
I think the best. It, it would be so hilarious he screwed up if at the year, like basically after Goku like lost for a third time, his dad ended up losing.
Yeah, and I guess like that's we haven't really said who we think that's like definitively should win. I think if they use Super, right? Um, Omni-Man's only argument is he just destroys the planet and lets Bardock like die in space. Problem: we know they're using Toei, and Toei Saiyans have a very strange relationship with oxygen.
His most iconic fight is him going to space.
Yeah.
I think like I think Bardock probably should win just because he's just gonna be that much stronger
Also, I want
no
to
matter
note that
what.
in Toei canon, Broly literally like systematically destroys South Galaxy, but that means he would have to spend a lot of time in open space with no oxygen. And Paragus too. Well, Paragus probably has the little ball, like the capsule, but Broly would have been in big buff mode when he did that. And I'm bringing up Broly. Someone's gonna say, "Why are you scaling Bardock to Broly?" First, no, shut up. I'm just saying that's a Saiyan, pretty normal Saiyan in terms of like his ability to breathe. That's the one thing that's normal about Broly. Yeah, there's a lot of empty space he's in that he just like breathes in.
Yeah. Vegeta we see in like that big scene where he blows up the planet does it in space without
Yeah. So
it's like
with a normal like a character they wouldn't use Toei, I could genuinely see the argument of okay, well, yeah, the despite what's shown, they're meant to be like unable to breathe in space, but in Toei canon, there's just so much that contradicts that.
it's so funny. It's like to me it's like Omni Man has best chances of winning is basically just he is quite literally just plopping him in the sun and hoping Bardock does not decide to fly out. Never
Yeah,
mind that that would be a risk for Omni Man because Viltra might take the sun.
yeah, it's
That it I feel like Bardock it's like I think he should win. I'm not sure who's going to win. And that's only because of these like fabled stuff for Invincible that might swing magically exist. It's literally just based off of he, I heard. That's it.
yeah,
I am like I am like curious, if nothing else, how like where we go from here with Dragon Ball. Because like after this one, which is like because this one is like an obvious pull because the Omni Man exists. It's like okay, next step. Like, I know like the obvious one for most people is Gohan because that's like duh, but at the same time, I don't know like I don't know like Ultraman Zero from what I understand that sounds cool enough, but like
my only problem with that is that like I've said this before, I think Ultraman Zero is probably too cool for what Gohan is today. Um, like Gohan's just not him anymore, and Ultraman Zero is. He just is him.
I I've heard like one funny idea is just Ultraman would just bully Gohan over the Great Saiyaman, which sounds funny.
I'm not like I've only seen a little bit of stuff with Zero. So maybe that's the thing he does.
Admittedly, Ultraman is like at the very least that would be easy to they could sell that one just because Ultraman is very cosmic. It's like everything I've seen of it, it is like what people think like the average Dragon Ball fight is in terms of its cosmic scale. I
Mm.
don't know if this one was Zero, but I think like that one time where he flew outside the multiverse was like the first Ultraman media I ever saw.
That is a great feat. Mm.
But beyond like that, it's like, okay, what's next? Like Piccolo, I guess, who also doesn't really have anything.
Hold on, I'm look
The
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 G1 blog dropped and I didn't even notice.
there there was like two flaws in this at the bare. I know, but like I know like the only Piccolo idea they've ever acknowledged was open. I think on the cast was Magus, and I'm here to say that idea sucks a lot.
I'm at the point where I think his best genuinely is Knuckles, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I can at least see Super Knuckles in a fight with Piccolo. I can picture that. With
Well,
Magus, I with Magus it's gonna be like you're gonna have to sit here and make relativistic sound super impressive
they're gonna sit there and
compared
have
to
to make
like
stuff up.
it's gonna be like relativistic. He went really really fast, and then they're gonna say the shockwave stuff, which is like super ultra light speed.
Mm.
But like after, assuming those two get on, it's like yeah, it's gonna be hard to imagine. Like they might do runbacks and stuff with Dragon Ball. Like
Well, there's always. Did we mention Cell?
oh yeah, Cell. That would be a.
Yeah.
I think him and Garo is like the one I often see, and that one would be fun.
I like
I
Cell
guess it's
versus
like
Gyro. Yeah.
oh yeah, I guess on the ballot they did have Goku Ryu like the full composite one, and I could see that happening down the line.
I can see that. The only problem I have is that like Composite Ryu has so much like wild shit going on. Composite Goku is kind of just Goku with a bigger number and the one God Fusion thing and like some Fortnite guns, I guess. But there's really
I
not
do
a lot going on with Composite Goku. That's very interesting.
I wonder like if the Jace jump star stuff, like if that like not necessarily maybe like abilities wise, but just like gear wise, that might spice things up. If there's one thing like I would hope for, it would just be like we get Shin Ryu from Udon, because that would just be like one of the most obvious big forms you could put in.
I want to see Optimus Prime Ryu. I want to see him become the giant robot that can still fire
I
Hadokens.
I think the fun it would be so hilariously screwed up if Ryu still lost after all of that.
Yeah. To be honest, he probably does. Especially with the whole like oh reality equals fiction outerversal blah 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 shit that's like come around to try and like change what outerversal means. To which Jump Force would have that and Ryu would not.
It's like it would just require such a deep dive of Ryu because like I guess just for context, a character who's in less stuff, Terry, he has like 100 something appearances in general across like crossovers and stuff. And Terry is not Ryu level.
I've got the Ryu list. It's not 100. I've
I'm
for future crossover kings. I've got Ryu compiled. It's a lot. It's a lot of appearances, but like it's
really.
not 100. It is a
I
lot
do
though.
remember
It
he was
is.
in some Magic the Gathering thing.
I believe it's less than Dante, who I've also got the list for, and it's less than well, obviously it's less than Batman. I made the list for Batman. That's way over 100. Will I ever do a Batman crossover Kings episode?
Sounds like hell.
God, I don't really want to.
I think there's. I'm looking through like Dragon Ball's like hit list of what you could do that like in recent memory. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually brought back Gogeta.
Yeah,
In
just
it's like
give me a Yamcha episode and I'll be happy.
I want Yamcha would be fun. Actually, I think Invincible season 3 to like go on the other end. That's like next year, I think, or the year after.
Yeah, we can get Invincible versus Gohan. What a fight that'll be.
It's funny because I feel like Mark is probably going to be like on the way on the back burner and compared to everyone else in his series.
Compared to, like, obviously his father, Battle Beast, Adam Eve. Mark is, like, the least interesting character to talk about. But
And
the thing
I
is,
like the image.
if Bardock wins this episode, then I think Gohan versus Invincible is going to be a complete waste of time. Because anyone who watched Bardock Omni-Man is going, oh, yeah, Omni-Man. He's the guy that completely beat the crap out of Invincible, isn't he? Gohan. Yeah, he's a wee bit stronger than that Bardock guy, isn't he? Well, yeah, I wonder how this goes. I don't know who's going to win.
The image of just like Gohan trying to seriously like, all right, give me your best. This is my best.
No, I'm serious. Like your best. Like, don't hold back, buddy. Don't worry, I can take it.
Mark's like, no, this is my best.
No, don't worry. You won't
And
hurt. You won't hurt my feelings, buddy. Okay, it's all good. You can have a go.
And go. I like the image of this somehow. Like, if they were to do that, just you trying to make Mark go like make Gohan go beast. The form that literally his mere aura stopped like a Goku level threat.
So this is how it feels to be Nappa, huh? I don't know why that would be the funniest line to drop, just because, like, it's imagine Gohan saying that as if he's not so much stronger than Nappa, but like that's the thing he remembers most. This is how it feels to be Nappa. just guy absolutely shitting himself trying to fight you.
That reminds me of that one. It's like that fan comic Dragon Ball Multiverse. They have Gohan and Nappa fight, and like Gohan gets weirdly mad and then just brutalizes Nappa, and he's left in like bloody chunks. Let me see if I can find it. And it's like, you are going this hard to kill Nappa.
I think Nappa has speaking of Nappa, he has an Invincible matchup, doesn't he?
Yeah, that would somehow be closer than this one.
Yeah, Nappa versus Conquest.
Yeah.
Because, like, Nappa, you can't argue any scaling to, like, the really high stuff the way you can with the whole body over there.
It's actually insane to think like Bardock is stronger than Nappa by the time he kicks off.
Yeah, I honestly, I can see the arguments for Omni-Man winning, but I think, just gonna put my foot down, I think, especially if you use the Ginyu thing with Super Bardock, I think Bardock just wins. Because at that point, you can't even be like, oh, well, Omni-Man just kills before Super. Can't even do that, because it's a case of, no, he literally can't. And Omni-Man's, it becomes a matter of what happens first. Omni-Man thinks to destroy like, has Omni-Man ever, in the entire comic run, thrown someone into space to kill them or destroy the planet? That's the first question. Like, destroy the planet to defeat an opponent, or throw someone into space to get rid of them.
Yeah. The closest you can say is in the show, where they like animate his like slaughter of that one alien race. But that was more just essentially cleaning up a bunch of fodder.
So the argument for his beating Bardock is something he's not actually done in the comics, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Omni-Man has not thrown someone into space.
Meanwhile, Bardock's, which while he could do that, let's compare that to Bardock's win con, hit Omni-Man. Now, has Bardock ever hit an opponent before? So it's,
you know what?
But
I would be with how Super Bardock is written. So you would think he would never hit an opponent.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, like, what speed feats, like, ignoring that one that we brought up, what does Bardock have, like, beyond the Goku dodge thing? Like, it would just be like the Piccolo, like, beam stuff, and, like, he would upscale. He would be faster than light with both the Ginyu statement and Super Saiyan. He would be
Yeah,
fast and light
it
because
would.
he'd be 50 times like relativistic, which would get into FTL speeds. It wouldn't be enough, but it would be notable.
Yeah, it would like. I don't think I'm trying to like generally think like I'm thinking back to other movies and stuff. It's like I guess I don't know if anyone outruns the dead zone because it stays a suck in light. So,
Yeah,
if anyone like out,
there's a lot of Toei canon that like maybe hasn't been looked at. The main thing is in Toei canon, Goku has the asteroid feet. I don't recall that being a thing in the manga. Maybe it was, but I don't remember that. But um, I just think even if Omni-Man is billions of times faster, if he physically cannot harm the guy, and going by the rules of Invincible and how he fights, he would just die upon trying to hit him. That's a hyperbole for anyone wondering. Yes, he wouldn't instantly die. He would like break his hand probably. I'm not sure where the Omni-Man wins argument comes in here, because throw him into space, something apparently he's never done. Destroy the planet to get rid of him. Well, he could do that. Apparently, something he's never done. There is something to be said for how even Bardock's AOE can be dodged by Omni-Man, because this is a case where his travel speed is equivalent to his, or it's his travel speed that's the main thing he's got going for him, and his reactionary speed scales to that, so he can fly fast enough to just dodge Bardock's attacks. I guess the question is like who's got better stamina. I know Omni-Man's got he flew like a really long time feat, but that's different to fighting, but it is still notable.
I think like stamina perspective, it'd be like if Omni-Man, if by any Omni-Man could probably just go in longer because Viltrumites they just survive way worse injuries and keep going. It's like if Bardock were to have his intestines ripped out, that would knock him down. Even no Zenkai boost is saving that. If that happens with Omni Man, he would keep going. But the thing is, it's like Bardock doesn't. All he needs to do is just evaporate him. That will also just kill Omni Man.
All he needs to do is land one hit, because after he lands one hit, doesn't matter where it is, the impact will be so great that it's gonna stun Omni-Man for a little bit. His arm goes exploding off his body. He's gonna have a moment of going, huh? And that'll give Bardock the time to just hit him again.
He'll realize, I think I missed my free W.
Yeah, and we're also ignoring the fact that what if Bardock just destroyed the planet they're on? Like, what if Bardock just fired a beam downwards, and if Omni-Man got caught up in that, he would die. And then Bardock, like, couldn't he just fly it through space for a bit? Like, again, Toei Saiyans. They can hold their breath for a very long time if they need to breathe at all. That, like, it's because we're dealing with Toei here that because I can see there being arguments like with the Goku dodging asteroids feet. He did have to be in a spacesuit out in space. You could argue that's an example of why the Saiyans need air. But it's just so weird because Vegeta standing in the middle of space, visibly breathing after destroying Planet Alia.
The space thing is so weird in the context of we're talking about Bardock, the character who's most famous scene.
In space, panting in space.
It's like, even if we assume Bardock can't breathe in space, it's like, you have to assume Omni-Man can pick up Bardock and like fly him there, and assume that the moment he's like trying to, I guess, stay on Bardock wouldn't just completely just flex his aura, and it like that would just evaporate Omni-Man.
There's also like the question of like, would Omni-Man even know to do that? Like, if Omni-Man knew his opponent can't breathe in space, for sure, which you can't say he does, because from what I've seen, a lot of fucking aliens in Invincible have no problem being in space for long periods of time, so that would be the base assumption from him. If he knew, sure, maybe he would do that, but if he doesn't know, why would he do that? Like, and we also have to question that destroying the planet, you have to ask, why are they fighting? Is the planet something that Nolan wants to just kind of destroy? Like, I guess that comes in more of a question, like, narratively, what causes the fight? And, like, in a narrative situation where the planet is worthless to Nolan, I don't know why he's fighting there, but, then okay. But I guess like that's like a weird that's a really weird argument. I think about it because it's a case of not just like would they do it in character, but like where are they fighting mattering to one of Nolan's win cons? Because if they're fighting on Earth, he's not doing that.
You know, in hindsight, technically, if there is someone who would do some weird strategy, I would maybe bet on Bardock on the sole basis he has future visions. I don't think he'd ever want to rely on that. But he does.
I didn't even think about that. You could, unironically, you could give him the fucking future visions as a power. That would be really funny. That would be so funny if you did that.
It's like they have been more of a hindrance.
What happens if Bardock just uses like Rebellion Spear and just stays in like that little orb of ki energy? What's Omni-Man gonna do?
Bardock sees the future and realizes Omni-Man can't win, and he feels okay. I have the strategy to end it quickly.
Oh god, I'm getting a vision of the future. I'm eating ice cream. Where's this guy? What happens to him? What? Huh? That was weird.
It's like, oh shit, this vision actually helps. It's actually
what? What if they give Bardock this like the space pod? Like, because he has it in the fight. What if the argument was like if Omni-Man tried to destroy the planet, Bardock would just get into that, fly away, and it's faster than Omni-Man.
that would be so funny.
That would be so funny. I don't think they'd do that.
I like the image of Bardock before, like, as he's going to the sun, he calls forth the space pod. It just like blitzes Omni-Man.
The space pod just flies past, and Nolan's like, "What the hell was that? What the fuck?"
And Bardock just pilots the space pod, like
the
Hulk uses like that one super into Marvel vs. Capcom games.
I do wonder whether or not, like, because he has the scatter in the episode, and Nolan doesn't really like use ki. Would they do it? Would they like play into the whole joke of how like a big thing with power levels was how it caused the villains to be weaker because they underestimated the protagonist? Like, in the fight they have Bardock be like, power level of 10. Well, this isn't gonna be a problem at all, and then Nolan just like fucking punches him through like a building. that could be funny.
I absolutely could. He's gonna just like okay, this is simple. The scouter gets immediately broken. Right.
It doesn't even explode. Nolan punches him and the scouter just like breaks. Because I don't think Nolan is strong enough to cause the scouter to actually explode. Because even if like you get his like feats and you compare them to the strength of the like Dragon Ball characters who have equivalent feats, their power levels are below the explosion threshold of like scouters. What a weird fucking sentence, the explosion threshold. I guess you could argue like who has more experience and skill. Probably Nolan. No, not even probably, just outright Nolan would have more experience and would probably more training just because of his age. He's fought more battles. That's a solid like Nolan dub there. He definitely is a better fighter, especially like just visually. Like from what I see, Nolan has moves that he does that aren't just fly forward, hit real hard, see what happens next.
Viltrumites are very much like, even if they are flying bricks, they know how to like actually, fight.
Yeah.
In a way that takes advantage of that.
And that's not to say Bardock's a bad fighter at all. I'm joking a bit when I say all he does is punch and see what happens next. He does know how to fight, but experience very much goes to Omni-Man's side. So you could definitely give him that along with speed, but there comes a point where if they, again, it's a matter of if they give Bardock the Ginyu thing, or they scale him high enough with Super Saiyan, he's just going to be too strong. He's just going to be too strong at that point. And Nolan's methods of winning are very niche things of like, he could do this to maybe win, while Bardock's are, he can do this and will win.
this is like a good preview into Kratos Asura.
I'm, that's
The
gonna
only
be. That's gonna
it
be.
is gonna be so funny because like every comment is absolutely going to ask, why doesn't Asura just throw Kratos into space?
Yeah, I can see that. It's a case of in this situation, if Nolan's never done that in the comics as a means of getting rid of his opponent, why would he do that now? And you can't say because Bardock can't breathe in space and it's his only win con. Because even if you say yes, we ignore all the times that Saiyans in Toei have breathed in space, and you focus exclusively on Super Bardock, how would Nolan know this? Seriously,
I
Bardock
I
in the Riddler pose, does he know? Draw that.
I, I wish I hope somehow we get a death battle where the winner is he can throw him into space, and it's an argument that will work.
Yeah, it's like something like that. That was an argument for why Darth Vader beats Obito, and it's like, yeah, Anakin has thrown someone in space before. In that's how like he deals with Dirge. So like that is something he can do. And the funny thing is that was a better argument for Vader than this is for Omni-Man. Because like I mean, for one thing, Bardock can just fly back.
I if like there ever comes a day where it's just like what if he just throws him into space and it actually wins? Like, you know what? I respect.
Yeah, and cause I'm just trying to think. Nolan throwing him into space, Bardock would just power up, stop the momentum, and fly back. Nolan grabs him and flies him off to space. Nolan has to hope he lets go before Bardock realizes what's happening and just, you know, does anything at all. Nolan destroys the planet. Why would Nolan do that? Now, let's say it takes place on a planet like it's fucking Mars, and Nolan's like, I don't give a shit about this place. Sure, he destroys the planet, and then Bardock like is like you have to ask the question of where are the other habitable planets that Bardock could breathe on relative to this one, and like you get into arguments of like does like where the winner can be argued to be determined by the location the fight takes place. And, you know, that's a little weird to me. Like, if it takes place anywhere in the solar system that we have, Bardock should be fast enough to just fly to Earth. And if Nolan tries to stop him, he has to make physical contact, and that is deadly for Nolan.
It's like every one of Nolan's arguments, it feels like either a meme or it's like the most shaky thing ever, like omnipotence.
I genuinely think the best argument for Nolan is just arguing that Bardock isn't that powerful. Just going, well,
Yeah,
I don't buy him scaling directly to King Vegeta's feet. I don't buy the Ginyu statement. Like that sort of stuff. In that case, if you don't buy those things, hell, let's say you just don't want to use Super Saiyan Bardock because you just hate episode of Bardock, fair enough. Then yeah, like if he's not that powerful, and if you put his physical power anywhere within the realm of being close to Omni-Man, then Omni-Man wins because he's just so much faster and more skilled.
yeah, that would be the most favorable outcome for him. The problem is just
The problem is what happens when you come across someone who's like, I actually do buy the King Vegeta feat.
the problem with the moment someone just says Super Saiyan.
Yeah, I actually believe that feat, and I will use episode of Bardock, and they go, oh well, that's not canon. Oh well, I buy the Ginyu scaling. Oh well, uh,
I think to me, it's like it would be so hilarious if they somehow ended up having Omni-Man beat Super Saiyan Bardock, because if we've been illustrating, like this is the lower end of stuff, and like I have, I guess anecdotally, when I like looked around like just generalish circles, it's like, oh, Nolan's fucked. Bardock's just gonna completely like two-piece combo him, like just fucking annihilate him.
two piece, wham bam, KFC chicken bucket, Omni-Man form.
uh, it's like it's like yeah. When you compare the two series, just in their presentation, like the Saiyans' whole gimmick is they run around fucking up planets.
The worst part with like having Omni-Man beat Super Saiyan Bardock is like, yeah, that is the Bardock that like technically survives being within Frieza's supernova for longer than Planet Vegeta did. Like, that is the only version of Super Saiyan Bardock that exists is the version whose base form just survives the supernova. Like, even for like a few seconds is more impressive than all of Invincible, unless you buy certain Omnipotus shit. And like Supreme and like Spawn shit. Like, unless you buy scaling to completely unrelated franchises or scaling to a book that said a thing once. And like, no, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some guidebook that's like Bardock's power level is like beyond like Rikum or something, and like that's all you'd need to say, yep, he wins. Like, there could be a guidebook that just says that just offhandedly goes, oh, Bardock did this, and it's like this is super impressive thing that's like some guy who has no idea about Dragon Ball writing in this book because he's been paid to, and they don't really care about being terribly lore accurate because it's a guidebook that like 13-year-olds are gonna read, and it just puts something stupid there. Who knows? Maybe that isn't a Dragon Ball guidebook. Let's read all the Daizenshus and see what they say.
I think the closest I can think of off the top of my head is like, I think in an interview, Toriyama had said Bardock was strong enough to be considered a mid-class warrior, which I mean, that does add up in a sense that he's power level is like 10,000 or something, and they say in Kakarot he's stronger than Nappa.
That would make sense because like the elite warriors we know of are Vegeta, and I don't think we know any other like Saiyan elites. It's just the two Vegetas. And they are both stronger than Bardock. At least, like, they were supposed to be. Super! You know, they should definitely give Bardock the Dragon Balls in his, like, arsenal. I think that would be funny.
He just summons a dragon. He just says, Dragon, wish Omni-Man off the face of the earth.
Dragon, I wish I could breathe in space. Well, now, that was my only win con. Well,
actually,
that sucks.
It is funny, because I remember back in the Saiyan saga, they try to do this with the Saiyans, but, like,
yeah.
Like, Shenron's like, I can't do that because Kami's power is not as strong as the Saiyans. But I just like the influence of Bardock, just Super Bardock, because he's stronger than Ginyu, who is stronger than King Vegeta and stuff. It would just be like, he goes and tells Mr. Dragon, says, can you wish this guy off so I could take this planet? Weird bug people.
No. He goes, oh, that Omni-Man guy, he's stronger than Kami, so I can't do that, bro. Yeah. Uh-oh, stinky.
I wish the bug people can grow up well. He'll make that wish.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
They won't go extinct.
Yeah, I like, the weird thing is, like, to an extent, I can understand why some people would assume if they don't, like, know all the stuff Omni-Man's done, that he might just throw a guy to space and, like, as, like, his first move or his, like, 20th move. The whole argument of, like, if Omni-Man's gonna be punching him for, like, what in his point of view is 10 minutes, but to Bardock's point of view is less than an instant, well, why wouldn't he at some point think, I'll just throw him into space? But my thing is, the first time Bardock, like, gets punched, first time Omni-Man punches Bardock, he's gonna break his hand. That's, like, a thing that happens in Invincible. Guy punches full force against something that he doesn't realize is so much stronger than him. Hand goes, ah!
I can at least see it in the sense that throwing someone into space does feel like a Viltrumite thing to do. Because it's like, it's just a checking off the flying brick, like, things to do with that kind of archetype. But he's not really done it.
He's not just a Viltrumite, he is a character. And in character, this is not, like, a thing that he'd do, apparently. I had to say apparently, because unlike my man here, I've not read the comics, so I had to say apparently so I don't sound like I know everything. He doesn't have to do that though. He can just say flat out it never happened. So
I think you'd just be better off just saying Omni-Man just camps out Bardock for all of eternity.
like, what happens
Because
if Bardock just powers up? Powers up at any point. Now his aura would kill Omni-Man. Like, and he has techniques that even if you, like, he has techniques that is just like, I'm now covered in ki. Omni-Man touch me, you die. And like, end of story.
it's one of those things where like Omni-Man has to basically he has to do the when Kane argue for Sanji, where for some reason, where it's like he just flies and just dodges every attack ever.
Yeah.
But the, clearly, the Viltrumite Red Brick War warrior will sit there and camp for like ever, and at no point try to attack.
And the it's worse here because unlike with Rock Lee, Bardock doesn't exactly have an expiration date. Like, and like, what would like if Bardock decides to just take a nap? What's Omni-Man gonna do? Punch him? Flying kick, right? Jump into the air, rider kick, Viltrumite style, break his foot.
He will just attack some indiscriminate part of the planet.
Oh yeah, that's what he'll do. That's the Nolan thing to do. As seen with his iconic fight with Omnipotus, where he destroyed the planet so that Omnipotus couldn't breathe, and then punched him so hard that he got universe level scaling, and then threw him into space. That's what happened.
I think my favorite part of the vid was when like Omnipotus just sat there and drained all the planets in right in front of everyone's faces, and then just like, and this is only a fraction of what I can really do.
Yeah, I love.
No one just said, yeah.
I love that scene in Invincible where like he went to the sun disk and it was like the size of like Betelgeuse, and he like just threw it out the way, snapped it in half, and then he absorbed like 10 red dwarf stars at the same time, and then Omni-Man one shot him. I really liked that scene. That was a really cool comic. I like that issue.
It's around the same issue when he battled Homelander for the timeline in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it happened right after he went to King of All Existence Spawn and beat him up.
And really, in MK, it's kind of funny because they made Homelander kill God Liu Kang, and his ending was like, no.
Yeah, I did see when the Animalities released, people saying, well, what would happen if like Omni-Man uses Animality to fight Ozoru Bardock? And like, first of all, obviously that's not going to happen, but they knew that. But that sounds really funny. The idea of him just turning into I forgot its name, the big monster, and actually just doing that in like a versus animation.
You know what? I would pay to see it. I would just
that would be funny. And they should use the exact model from Mortal 1 Kombat so it just sticks out, like completely doesn't fit in.
I think it's funny this idea of just like it's just a natural ability he never showed off.
He never showed it off. He was going to use it against the big monster, but he didn't want Mark to think that he was some sort of like hentai addict. So he was like, "Oh, well, I don't need to do that. I don't do that." Yeah. I do think Death Battle will let Bardock win. I'm open to being proven wrong. The fact that you mentioned Sanji now makes me think, oh shit. They have just gone with the argument of he dodges everything without knowing that the other guy has an expiration date, never tries to attack on him.
See, at least with Sanji, I can, like, at that point in time, I understood, because I also argued that back then. And it's one of those, at least Sanji has a literal power to sense power levels.
Yeah, in this case, it's the wrong character that has that power here. By power, I mean fucking mobile phone on his head. fucking
And
MacBook scouter.
okay, he tries to scan it. By the time he finishes, Omni-Man's already broken his hand.
Oh, I didn't. I was gonna give you like a chance to like hold on there, buddy. That looks pretty bad. So when it's anyone drawn like Bardock doing the "I thought you were stronger" thing? So
I've
someone
seen a
should get
lot
to
of
that.
edits of like the "I miss my wife" thing, but it's just I miss beating up
I miss
Homeland.
beating up Homeland. Yeah, I mean, hey, people wanted Omni-Man to have a real challenge, and you know what? To be fair, if he wins this, it will be a real fucking challenge. This is not going to be a free W. That face is perfect. That face has the same energy as like that one Lex Luthor image.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are already comments really angry with me, for supporting Bardock here. I've
I
had a
feel like
long,
this is
I've had a long time to think about this
weird.
matchup, and ever since it was announced, and this is just the conclusion I've come to. And of
This has
course,
been
my word's not gospel because I have not like read Invincible, but yeah,
this has like been weirdly contentious in like these parts, and I guess it's because those higher Invincible arguments, and I can kind of get it, but it's also like I don't know. I guess like compared to some of the other fights we have on like the champion, not champions ballot, fucking hell, Kickstarter. It's like, yeah, I guess there's more to discuss there. I say this when Bowser Eggman is also a Kickstarter episode, but
yeah, like it literally the episode announced along with it that is actually, from my knowledge, super debatable. I really hope that I can do a prediction for that, because that would be quite an interesting one.
it's funny because like in these parts, it's obviously like one of the most debatable matches. Everyone has their own opinions on Scrimblow platformer like stuff. But if you just go like I remember going on Twitter and like Reddit and like just for a bit just to see like just out of curiosity and everyone thinks Bowser's going to completely wash Eggman.
I mean, it makes sense because when you think about Eggman, you don't often think, ah, yes, 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 Eggman, the guy who has all these like massive mechs that can destroy the universe. You don't really think that. When you think of Bowser, you think of, oh yeah, the giant fuck off turtle who does the big boy moment and like stood there in like a supernova.
It's
Like,
one of those, it's like
yeah.
I think I remember someone explicitly like mentioning like the Dream Stone and like multiversal. It was on Twitter. It's like it was so weird
Jesus.
to see.
Like, random Twitter user coming out with that. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know how debatable and like a lot of the other ones are. I don't know about like Columbo, how they'll even approach that. Wily Tom,
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand to be somewhat debatable. Kratos Azura, you want to talk
I
about
mean,
ones where
it's like
Twitter's going to disagree?
Kratos Astra is it's one of those things where if Kratos didn't have the arguments he did, no one would be like it would not be a match.
Yeah, yeah,
By
and like
every because it's like by any reasonable metric, any, it should just be Astra blows him up, and that it's it. But
that's the thing. Like visually, this is going to be a really weird fight.
I think the next one is like there's the rematches, which they all are gonna be like it depends
They're
on
all-
whatever wins.
The only one I don't think is super one-sided would, off the top of my head, what I remember would be the TMNT Royale. I still think it's one-sided.
Yeah,
I think if they composite everything, Leonardo just like kind of instantly kills them all with gravity, and they can't really do anything about that.
It's
But-
like by all accounts, it's the closest one there because they are all gonna be like generally.
Yeah, what a shock. The only like halfway debatable one is the one where they all scale to each other.
there's that, and I guess Mario versus Sonic 3 if that one were to win, because Mario versus Sonic.
I don't know anything about Mahito, so I can't really comment on that one. I think Yugi destroys Ash. I think Ash's arguments are all shit. Fight me. Well, actually, don't. I don't care enough to. Um, I just.
I think
I think
Shigaraki,
to my knowledge,
Shigaraki and Mahito.
like has AP. I know Shigaraki has like AP. Unless you go
I
with
am
that
probably
stupid
gonna
black
get.
hole thing. Well, not black hole.
I'm
The
gonna
energy
probably
thing.
get. I'm probably gonna get killed for saying this, depending on who watches this in specific parts. But I am going to be blunt and say I have no idea how Mahito's supposed to win that episode. It's like, it's like I get it and says that yeah, you could probably say if he's able to land that touch or whatever, he could probably pull off the hacks. He doesn't have stats, and Shigaraki can obliterate him way beyond what he's shown to come back from.
Bum, bum.
And I don't really like any of the arguments in favor for higher end Mahito stuff or just how his abilities work.
Mm.
So it's like, to me personally, it starts and ends with Shigaraki just touches the ground and that just decays them all, or uses his super high crazy.
Why does he need to
payloader.
touch the ground? Can't he just literally touch the air? Did he not do that? Did I see that panel wrong?
I think it said he could evolve to a point where that, but I don't think he ever got to that level. But at the same time, he also can just create giant air blasts, which would also kill Mahito.
It could just punch him. He could just punch the guy.
Yeah. There's also, and I guess Aang Traveler. I hear that's probably the closest one here, from my understanding.
Yeah, well, Ruby Marcus certainly isn't.
Yeah.
Hulk Godzilla, I don't even want to talk about, but like, I mean, depending on what, like, this one isn't even like a debate as much as it is what do you give Godzilla, and like what can Hulk resist? Because Godzilla's got so many more powers than Hulk. It's not even funny, and it's a matter of like, can Hulk resist them all? If he can, and he scales above infinite dimensions, then he just wins. Story over. Bye bye.
Yeah.
And Kyle Simone is just a case of like who stomps who. It's never going to be debatable.
Yeah. I'm probably currently leaning on Simone there with what I understand.
Personally,
admittedly, I've always said as a joke, it is funny how one of the core advantages will just be Simone, size-wise, is eclipsing all of Kyle.
Yeah. To me, it's a case like if Kyle can use the full anti-life or full life equation, he just wins. If you say he can't, then like I guess no. But I don't buy any of the reality transcending equals instantly universal regardless of the cosmology sort of arguments that have been going around. I just think that's dumb. It has been
weird to me. It's weird to me how quickly that was accepted, especially given most of this community has a very anti VBW mindset at times, so I'm surprised people, and also kind of not surprised people quickly bought into that.
To me, it feels like people just wanted bigger number. Like they were like, oh shit, Outerversal is like the cap, you can't get above that. What if we now have multiple times Outerversal? And like what I don't like is the whole argument, like if you go with your one dimension above the lower, if you transcend that to a point where it's fiction, you're instantly Outerversal. The average ant within Gurren Lagann would solo Goku because it's 3-dimensional. That is 2 dimensions above 0. It transcends the second and first dimension to the point of them being fiction. So that is an Outerversal 3-dimensional ant. Unless you want to say for some reason, Outerversal only begins from the 4th dimension onward. Which at that point, huh? I don't get it. I don't get why the 3rd dimension's a special, this is the baseline point. It has to be like why it would not just start with first dimension transcends the 0th to the point of fiction, because that's not how dimensions work in Dragon Ball. So you can't say that Goku would be like 3-dimensional within the world of Gurren Lagann if dimensions transcend the lower dimensions by infinity, or by the point of lower dimensions being fictional.
Right. It's always such a weird thing, and I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert, but even just like from a basic read, I felt something was always off of how, especially because it feels like that stuff can be so like, it's easy just to sort of shove any series into like some kind of reality over fiction kind of way. I'm good. I say it's just like the average like fourth wall breaking cartoon. It feels like some people might push to those levels.
Yeah, like Popeye, take out its creator, out of Versal. It's not just some hacks thing. It's not like he's one dimension above the highest. Like what I preferred is if you transcend your verse to the point where the verse is fictional, and this is a verse where lower dimensions are seen as like non-existent relatively. Then if you transcend your entire verse, you're just one dimension above your verse. Because like that's like the baseline. That's like, yep, that makes sense. One dimension above everything in your verse. But now it's like if a character is in a world where there's only 4 spatial dimensions, and another character is in a world where there's infinity of them, if they both transcend their respective worlds to the point where that world is fiction, they're equal in power. Like that's the way it's been argued towards me. And I think that's really stupid, because at that point the cosmology doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big the cosmology is. It just matters that this one part is said, and now the character starts it out of Versal.
Oh, I feel bad for whenever Deathbat has to explain that verdict, no matter who wins. For Simon God.
Yeah, and people don't go in the comments explaining, oh, I'm wrong because this and that. I'm talking about how it's been explained to me, not how you might explain it, not how someone else might explain it, just how people have explained it to me. And the way they've explained it to me, I think is shit. I think the idea that the size of the cosmology doesn't matter is stupid. I think if a character transcends a cosmology that is bigger than another, of course they should be more powerful than the person who transcends a smaller cosmology.
I'm going to like have an aneurysm whenever the next Bowser Eggman Blah happens, and I just see 2 cosmology sections. Indeed.
Oh right, Gru Megamind. That one like I guess is kind of debatable because like they have win cons against each other and it's like a speed thing.
I feel like from everything I've seen, if Megamind literally has to be faster.
He has to be
like
faster.
The only
Yeah.
way because it's like Gru, he gets shit done. I guess in spite of all,
Yeah.
he is.
He's physically a lot stronger. That's definitive.
The I'm like looking at, and like there's just not counting all the other like, I guess hidden ones we don't know about for all we know.
Yeah, wait for Joker Giorno to be revealed.
I see that one and I just like I hope like we're getting to a point where that just ends up they have to throw that on a ballot one day, or it just gets locked down to that territory because it has been.
Yeah. Don't worry, people. I remember my promise. When Joker Giorno happens, the prediction will still be a few minutes of me lying face first on the floor, before popping up and saying who I think wins with no context. It's still going to be that.
I feel like the next one after this is probably going to be one of the unrevealed ones, and I'm putting money that'll probably be Luzan, which is coincidentally another really weird like debate over. Though it's a little bit weirder for different reasons because it's about children dying.
Yeah, I could see Anne versus the protagonist of our house happening. Because I think
I had a feeling
with Bowser Eggman, I could definitely see that being one of the later ones for this year because it looked a lot like less finished, and Moro seems to be a beast of an animator, and it works real fast, real high quality. I don't know if it's been enough time to finish that whole episode. So
I think he currently said he's working on backgrounds for that. Like, but all the animation itself is done. So I could see it like third.
yeah,
like,
I can see it third then. They're like very impressive.
I'm guessing
Like
that
unless
feels like something.
unless Bowser Eggman turns out to only be 2 minutes long, which it won't be. It's gonna at least be 3. Very impressive work to just work that quickly. And
I
it's
think
gonna
like
look great.
it's kind of funny because originally it wasn't going to be an army fight from what we like. I think Morrow posted on like Twitter or something like, that like he was chatting with like one of his people and like they had the storyboard for Bowser Eggman, but it was gonna be way easier and simplified. It was gonna have no arm. It wasn't gonna have armies. it was there was other like stuff that wasn't included, so he just jumped in and said, "Let me cook."
Mora just jumped in and went, "Shut your stupid ass!" Smacked him in the head, and went, "My turn." Kind of goated.
It is it's like I appreciate it, but holy fuck.
Oh man, Mora,
But
you
you know
are
what?
a monster in the best way. What am I saying? Mora's not watching this.
Yeah. Who knows?
Me knows.
They're just
If
someone might just
anyone,
say, "Hey, like I heard your name come up."
if anyone working on Death Battle is watching this, it would be David probably. He might watch this. That's about all I can think. Just Origin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're but yeah. Here's hoping. I guess in a way I would kind of hope Omni-Man wins because I like him more, but I
Oh, I significantly prefer Omni-Man. Like, I like him more than original Bardock, and I like original Bardock way more than I like any other Bardock. Like, Father of Goku Bardock is the peak. I have a very strong bias for Xenoverse 2 Bardock after that. Then, probably Super, then Minus, who's just Super but with less stuff going on. I guess they're interchangeable, really, because it's like, there's more stuff with Super, but there's also, like, it's shit, so, much of a muchness. And then Episode of. And Heroes, I don't give a shit that Heroes Bardock. He can
Heroes
kiss a
Bardock.
scrote. I do not care. He's the Mask Saiyan. He does have Super Saiyan 4 going for him. That's cool. But I hate to tell you that the Super Saiyan 3 transformation in Xenoverse kind of just eclipses it. Because that's a really cool boss fight. I still love that boss fight.
Actually, wait. I remember talking about debatable fights for like the rematch. I completely forgot Mewtwo Shadow existed there. Oh
All right.
shit.
Depending on how you scale Mewtwo, that can either be really debatable or he gets washed.
I I cannot wait. If that wins the rematch poll, that's gonna be like what a solid 5 or 6 months of like the most back and forth between this is the between like stuff like Sonic Prime or Solaris or whomever versus Rainbow Rocket and Dialga and Palkia. And the actual episode will probably just never bring that up. And I'm probably thankful for that because
I'm curious what they'll
as
do.
funny as
I hope they don't do it right because the main thing for Shadow and Mewtwo as a matchup is anime Mewtwo because other Mewtwo's don't really match up well with Shadow in terms of like thematically. So the main narrative focus would be anime Mewtwo, and its big scaling is the fact that it completely bitched out Pikachu, which that Pikachu's already gonna get an episode in the same season. So
there would be something funny, just the idea of like, yes, but did you know this Mewtwo from like the Rainbow Rocket era is so powerful he's even above the gods of time and space. And they go to
wow, I didn't know that,
and
Wiz. That sounds really dumb. Wiz, that might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth. And trust me, that is a competition.
this is how Dummy cameos in with the weird Dialga. Dialga did a thing, or he's in a Pokeball for all we know.
Yeah. What else? What else? Let me think about that. What else was on that poll? Was Tracer Scout on there?
Tracer Scout.
Is that close at all still, or is that still a wash? I say still for both because it's been either or at various points.
I feel like everything I've seen should tell me Tracer would still win.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have seen weird TF2 stuff. I don't like it, but I'm also not big on either. But like everything I've seen just convinced me Tracer would win. There's Gar and Toph. I'm sure that's very close.
Wow. Yeah.
Yang Tifa,
No.
which even though Tifa in fact completely and utterly obliterates in every other scenario, there should just be a cosmic timeline where she loses because Tifa would just have a horrible track record in this hobby. She
I'm just. I'm
because
just.
she
I like how. Uh. If Yang Tifa wins, you start getting turning Final Fantasy VII into Legend of Zelda, where there's three characters that appear only, and it's three very specific characters across 5 episodes, which is currently what Legend of Zelda's got going on. Meanwhile, on the poll is also Peach Zelda, which will change Legend of Zelda into a series with 6 episodes featuring 3 characters and 4 matchups, of which Legend of Zelda uh, will have rightfully won none, but they would have won only one without it being undone immediately.
I think like the one Final Fantasy is like in a state to me where it's like by we're kind of going to be trapped in 7 for a bit because unfortunately most of the other matches that exist are either from the older games and or that most people haven't played, or it's the modern games that just get phased out of the spotlight after a while. But even within 7, it would be so deranged if they just all had the same matches. Admittedly, I am surprised they didn't just put Sephiroth Virgil on that poll. I think that would just, at least from a casual standpoint, would be what everyone would want to see.
Yeah, like, as I said in the fucking podcast that I did, some of the matchups there are ones chosen for the kind of people who will not be given, who would not have given Death Battle money, and that's so weird.
It's like, from the angle of just, these are controversial, I get it, but it's like, it's some of these, it's like, man, am I really gonna sit here and pretend that there's a strong, throbbing desire to see uh, Gar versus Toph in the year of our Lord 2024, Yang Tifa in the year of our Lord 2025? Like, am I am I real? Do I really need to see those two specifically? And it's like I always just like, okay, well, if they're gonna pick like one, I was thinking to just be Sephiroth Virgil because at least like conceptually, it's like Sephiroth and Virgil have elevated to these super hardcore big final boss energy even more than their original episode did. It's
Hmm.
like obviously there's like Smash Brothers, which just that is just kind of Sephiroth's gimmick
It's
in a
crazy that
presentation
the
sense.
most powerful character in Smash Brothers canon is Sephiroth. Like
I
it goes Sephiroth, and then Cloud is probably the next, and then like Galim, and then the entire rest of the roster.
I get it's like I mean Cloud is probably below Khalif just
I mean,
because
he probably
Cloud
is, but at the
did
same time, somehow he's the one. He's like 1v1ing Sephiroth, despite the fact that Sephiroth literally just used those same exact swings to one-shot Galim. What's up with that, huh? What? How did? What?
I'm now reminded like Sakurai when talking about designing Cloud, he had trouble like kind of balancing him, he said, because he was like, oh yeah, Cloud's like really, really, really strong. And like
I was like, yeah, he is, but like, he's
and it's
not
like,
even
yeah,
in
yeah.
the conversation for strongest in Final in Smash.
I guess it's one of those things where it's kind of funny compared to like months later they'd release Bayonetta, who like obviously Advent Children is crazy in the presentation. Like Cloud does cut buildings and stuff, but Bayonetta throws like high built skyscrapers.
Yeah,
Then
like
again, she
Bayonetta
did
is a
bring
much
Smash
higher
Bros.
scale. I mean, just take a look at Kirby. Like what he does. It's obviously not as
At least with
frequent, but like, still, it's a little more than what Cloud's ever. I mean, I guess I don't even know why Advent Children would be the immediate go-to when you consider that, like, in the original game, there is this little move called Supernova. There's 2 versions of it, and both of it is ridiculous.
I guess I could see it from the angle of like, oh yeah, Kirby can punch a planet, but can also die to apples or whatever. I guess if I was like in Sakurai's chair in that sense.
If I was in the
Whereas
chair
Ash
opposite, I
Ventura,
would tell you, yeah, well, Cloud slices up buildings. He also nearly gets taken out by a bullet in this movie.
Sakurai's really. It's like you have that, and then it's like DMC5 just makes Virgil the somehow a bigger badass than he is in like the
Yeah,
games and
Virgil
everything.
in DMC5 is like, anyway, I'm the strongest guy now. At least until, like, Dante gets that strong and Nero gets that strong.
It's like Virgil has that unbeatable energy for that, especially because like I guess as Urizen, he literally just like two shots Dante, and Dante's going like a sabbatical to figure out.
It is very satisfying that when you do get that power up, like to Sin Devil Trigger, and then you just kick the living crap out of the guy. because
Yeah,
well, no, I was gonna say they forgot that he already had a stronger Devil Trigger. No, they just didn't care.
it's like the whole point is that Virgil's an idiot, and he. It's funny and like it's so funny. Like I think I saw someone on Twitter say it best. Like it's funny how in MVC3 they say Dante's not as smart as Virgil, but like Virgil's also the guy who would basically fall for crypto scams every single time if he was told it would.
Maybe they just like both kind of dumb. Dante and Virgil, I feel like would be like living embodiments of the Dunning-Kruger effect. They think they know everything when really that's just because they know nothing.
Dante at least doesn't pretend otherwise. Like, he will like he when he approaches situations, he will generally like act like he's gonna act like himself. He'll never act like he's super smart. Virgil will think he is Madara, and then he's gonna come out like fucking Cooey in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, this has gone way off from Bardock Omni-Man. Yeah,
Well, congrats to
I know where to go with this. Good job, Omni-Man. You've come back. You're one of the quickest comebacks of any combatant. Not quite as fast as obviously Leonardo or I believe even Batman, but pretty quick return.
Let,
I don't know if he's
let's
even
see
as
if
quick
Gojo
as Parasite.
breaks that record.
Yeah, let's see Gojo come back to fight Kakashi. Yeah, let's do that. I don't think that's happening. We got Mahito.
Yeah. But congrats, Omni-Man. You finally got a real fight. You're probably gonna fucking die.
Yeah, a lot of returners, I think, in the revealed matchups.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Aang,
Though I
Hulk,
kind of get it.
Godzilla, Bowser, Eggman, Omni-Man,
Kratos,
yeah.
the rematch by default will have.
Pikachu.
Yeah. I mean, technically, with Bowser's army, we are getting the return of Goomba and Koopa, respectively.
That's true. I mean, depending on what they do with Eggman, we could be getting the return of Metal Sonic as well.
Metal Sonic is gonna show up, and he's gonna be either one of two things. He's either gonna have like the most badass aura ever because that's like the image of Metal Sonic, or it's gonna just end up being what Metal Sonic is kind of right now, which is like a massive fucking fraud who's getting beat up by Base Shadow in Metal Overlord.
Not to mention Eggman's entire army, you could argue, is kind of just coming back. The Egg Fleet's coming back. The TIE Fighter from Darth Vader versus Doctor Doom's coming back. For some reason. Not sure why that's in there.
Hey, you got it from another universe. It's fine.
The Egg Bots from Sat AM, I think I saw, they're back.
Yeah, they're there.
There's a lot coming back.
Bowser's getting all the new stuff. People are so hyped to see King Boo, and that is so funny.
It's funny because like he's like one of the ones you could argue should be there the least, but no one cares because it's King Boo and they're happy to see him.
I I know like in Mario Party, Bowser just calls King Boo basically like just like, yeah, he's here. He works for me.
He's my bro, I bought him his car and he was like, "Oh, you didn't have to do that, man." And now he's like, he signed the contract to work with me and like, I got him a Ferrari. He's pretty happy with that. Can't drive it, but like it looks
It does.
good. I can't wait to see
I,
Gary the
I
Thwomp. Can we get some Gary the Thwomp in my Bowser Eggman?
I need to see what becomes of the fate of what happens to Junior or Sage respectively, because child murder being on the table is gonna be an interesting.
Yeah, Sage. People were talking about how Sage isn't in the preview. I was kind of wondering, like, she could be there in the background in the body of like a Titan. Fittingly
Sage is
enough,
kind of,
fittingly enough, given the topic of this video, she could be in Supreme.
Sage could. I imagine Sage will show up, and then
I'm still
it's like that.
just begging for the first Titan to show up to do the Sonic Frontiers like sudden zoom in and the Titan like face turn to the camera like, huh? I'm still just pleading for that to happen. just because it'd be so funny. Bowser Jr.'s like backing off from the fight, and this is when Sage shows up and just, huh? Inside of like Wyvern. A Titan like fighting Fury Bowser would kind of go off though. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I said before, I'm really glad to see Egg Dragoon in there as the mech instead of the Death Egg robot again.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see what that turns up. I'm also just morbidly curious to see what the next time of this in general is going to be, because I imagine it's going to be one of the unrevealed ones.
Joker versus Jono, come on! Pleading!
It's like,
I want to take it easy for the next prediction.
If it is Luz versus Anne, I might just show back up again just so I can yap about.
Hello there. Look, I don't know how many predictions there will be for upcoming ones. I can say that Hulk vs. Godzilla and Ryu vs. Mako will have them. Unsurprisingly, given me, I could pretty much 1v1 Akil in Hulk Godzilla and see how that goes.
I think it will all vary, but if it is lose, I will say it will be funny if it is lose and, because depending on how they frame that verdict, it's gonna just be based around the idea of, but what if the gods just show up and just start just give them a good talking to.
I would, if that's the next one, I will take a break from watching the show I'm currently watching, and I will watch those two fucking shows, and I will still continue to just call her the protagonist of the Owl House. Just to annoy you people. The same thing's gonna happen when I do Fulgor Sector 2 on my Death Battle, and I finally go through all the Killer Instinct games. He's still gonna just be the protagonist of Killer Instinct. You guys brought that on yourself.
To be honest, that is like how I'd summarize Jago's personality.
The protagonist of Killer Instinct. He's him. He's like the guy.
Killer Instinct has so many colorful and like fun characters. Jago is in fact the protagonist of Killer Instinct.
Oh, so that's why his matchup is Liu Kang.
Honestly, even Liu Kang has more going on.
I am going to be so... It's going to be so interesting if they do that matchup. Because it's gone from a matter of, well, I mean, we can probably ignore Fire God. We can just focus on, like, what Liu Kang does. And now it's like, okay, so we have the... Can the protagonist of Killer Instinct survive being thrown into a black hole? And if he does, can he survive having the universe reset on his head?
Actually, yeah, we were talking about, like, taking him to space as a win con. Liu Kang
can do that. Yeah, Liu Kang can do that. He does. It's his fatality. Well, it's one of them. Now, admittedly, because it's a fatality, it's more a case of, like, he beats you down and then does it. But, like, the fact of the matter is, he do that. He will just throw you into space. Specifically into a black hole. Hilariously, though, if he did that on Omni-Man, it would not work, despite what the fatality would have you believe.
It is fair. These fatalities just give the implication that Homelander would actually deal damage
to anyone, yeah. He could probably do damage to Peacemaker, at least, you know?
It's like, he could beat up most of the cast in a grounded sense, because it's not like MK1 at least presentation wise, is crazy high in scale when you're not looking at the Titans and stuff. It's like Baraka struggles to kick open a wooden door. It's like
Yeah, but like he's just a virus boy now, so he doesn't matter. Liu Kang gave him desert AIDS, so you know. Why'd I say
what
it
was
that way? That makes it
Goku?
sound. That makes it sound like they did a certain thing. Maybe they did. Who knows? Who knows what Liu Kang likes? He's
He likes blue bitches with
oh no,
Vader.
I
That's
know
all.
what he likes. He likes changing things in ways that don't make sense and just kind of being a dick. Oh, what if like this slave race I turned who like turned against their masters to help me and fought to save the universe? What if I turned them into a virus? And what if I turned their slave owner boss into slightly lower rank than he was before, but still in a position of power? Liu Kang, do you want to explain yourself on that one? Do you want to like fucking tell me why you did that, bro? What was with that, huh?
I guess the most screwed up part is that he's still doing a better job than Raiden ever did.
There's a clip
That's
from Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series that I like to like imagine with Liu Kang, and that's just when Yugi asks Shadi, "Why'd you do that?" And he's just like, "I am, as they say, kind of a dick," and that's his entire explanation. That's just
I
Liu
mean
Kang.
this timeline did happen because he basically bet on Shang Tsung killing everyone, so he could swoop in. Even
Maybe.
Shang Tsung is like, bro, what the fuck?
Oh, deliciously cold-blooded. You have no idea. Wait till see what I do with the next world. Oh shit. Will I be in it? Yes. For some reason.
I think the funniest thing he has done is that he is sick of Bihan and just the Lin Kuei in general. It's
I haven't even like
like he's
really.
just
I haven't even played the game. I've got the game. I've had it since launch, and I just have not bothered to play it.
it is. Well, I mean, I haven't I don't own the game, so I can't really have a strong opinion on it.
Well, I'm sure it'll be better than 11 at least.
Well, the Steam charts did have people playing 11 over 1, so I'll just put a leave. They are just Steam charts, admittedly, but also
Wow.
that's not normal.
I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe it's just because 11 is such a baby, dumbed down game in terms of like gameplay that it's just like better for casuals. No meter? Wow! Like, there's no like complicated meter system. I'll play that. Well, I can just use my raw super whenever I want to. Really, as long as I'm like low on health, I don't need to worry about like using resource or anything. And if I whiff it, I just get a chance to do it again. Awesome.
At least Liu Kang kept Gears around and made him better. At least Gears is being
A literal slave.
not just a pet.
Yeah. I wonder if he saw what Jax did in his ending in MK11, and he went, "That's a great idea. Ethnic cleansing. Let's do that with the Tarkatans."
I mean, I guess that Jax did do that in some timeline, since we now know. And some
I just want to imagine
every
some white guy working on MK11 being like, "What if like I made Jax's ending like so like super pro black by degrading his character to just he's the black one." Oh, they'd love that. I am so happy to be white. That's the energy that ending gives me.
there's just a certain I don't know. I guess there's something fun seeing that, but then they cut. They were very adamant about keeping Kung Jin not in the fucking game. They actually then again they cut Jax from 1, and he's yet to be DLC. So like,
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna like bring more than just Takeda back in as like fighters among the combat kids.
I think Cassie's coming back from what I've seen.
That's not really a surprise. They already have. I mean, they already have a female Johnny Cage pretty much in the game as a cameo. Might as well do another female Johnny Cage in the game, but this time playable. So then you can have 3 Johnny Cages pretty much.
And no Sonya.
And, oh, she's a cameo.
It's gonna be so. It's like Sonya has just probably not making this game in its entirety. And it's like, well, yeah, she is the first MK girl, but on the other hand, she's not the MK girl.
Yeah, but on the other hand, she's got the personality of a damp cloth. That said, if she comes back and her like opening dialogue begins with "combat time," then I'm not complaining. That would be funny. I do like how
It would, you know
unnecessarily
what?
aggressive she is in the cartoon. Like, why she got to be so pissed off all the time?
To be honest, if I was in her position, that would be. I think most. If your main op is Kano, I cannot imagine being a happy person.
That's true. So yeah, anything else to say here?
I hope Omni-Man wins. He probably won't. And here's here's to I guess the next year death battle.
Yeah, here's to the next year Death Battle. What if I just took that Omni-Man image in our DMs and I just like slowly faded that in across the whole video?
Oh, that would actually be perfect.
So now, if anyone's now noticed it, it's there. It's on screen right now. It's probably very obvious at this point in the video. I gotta still make a thumbnail for this. I'm gonna try to.
My
I miss my stomach. I miss stopping Homelander. I'm gonna try to avoid using that one piece of fan art that everyone uses, that even Death Battle's using. There's like a fan like redrawing of official
It's like
art.
yeah, it's like a fan edit because he
Yeah.
has like the blue suit or something.
Yeah, and also it's like in space, so the lighting's like different as well.
Yeah. Which is honestly news to me, but I guess it makes sense with hindsight.
Yeah, so I actually saw someone in a server post a thumbnail that was literally like Bardock on one side and the other side just had in the invincible font that one fan art that everyone uses for Omni-Man. That was good.
Honestly, perfect.
That was good. You know, I want people to actually click on this video, so I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. All right. That'll be the end of that video, guys. Have fun getting mad at me for criticizing Jax's ending. You can say goodbye too.
Bye.
Well, not even a goodbye, just a regular bye. Neutral bye to you guys.